Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Benjamin Netanyahu vows Israel is committed to return of all hostages.
I emphasize to you, the families, and to you, the citizens of Israel. We are committed to the return of all our hostages.
Massive rescue operation in last phase to evacuate 41 trapped tunnel workers in India's Uttarakhand. Voting underway in Western Indian state of Rajasthan for 199 out of 200 assembly constituencies of the state. In sports, Anish Bhanwala creates history, wins India's first ever medal in men's 25 meters rapid fire pistol event in ISSF World Cup final. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday has confirmed the first group of hostages had been returned from Gaza. In a video message posted on social media site X, Netanyahu said that the nation is committed to returning of all the hostages from Gaza.
We have now completed the return of our first of our hostages, children, their mothers and other women, each and every one of them in a whole world. But I emphasize to you, the families, and to you, the citizens of Israel, we are committed to the return of all our hostages. This is one of the goals of the war, and we are committed to achieving all the goals of the war.
US President Joe Biden hailed the first release of hostages by Hamas and said the US expects more captives to be freed in the coming days under a deal that paused weeks of fighting. During a news conference, Biden declined to speculate about how long the conflict would last, but said that he thought the chances of an extension of the ongoing truce were real.
Over the next few days, we expect that dozens of hostages will be returned to their families. We also remember all those who are still being held and renew our commitment to work for their release as well. 2 American women and 1 4-year-old child, Abigail, who remains among those missing. We also will not stop until we get these hostages brought home and an answer to their whereabouts. I remain in personal contact with the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Israel to make sure this stays on track and every aspect of the deal is implemented.
Following the attack on Israel by Hamas on October 7th, 24 hostages, including 13 Israelis, 10 Thai nationals and 1 Filipino, were released along with 39 detained Palestinians. As part of a deal between Israel and Hamas, a total of 50 hostages and 150 Palestinian detainees are expected to be let go, and a 4-day ceasefire agreed. To know more, let's take a look at DD India correspondent William Denslow's report from UN headquarters.
Thanks to this 4-day pause in the fighting, the UN says it's managed to scale up the delivery of humanitarian assistance in Gaza. They say that includes being able to deliver to hundreds of thousands of people more food, more water and more medical supplies across the Gaza Strip. UN officials speaking Friday said they also managed to cross 129,000 litres of fuel and 4 trucks of gas into Gaza. UN officials say they hope this is a sign of things to come.
We hope the agreement between Israel and Hamas, now in force, will bring respite to the people of Gaza and Israel and some relief to the hostages and detainees who will be released and to their families. We hope it allows grieving families to honor their dead and bury them with dignity. And we hope that this humanitarian pause leads to a longer-term humanitarian ceasefire for the benefit of the people of Gaza, Israel, and beyond.
The deal between Israel and Hamas was brokered with the assistance of Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. Speaking on Friday, President Joe Biden touted the role that Washington played, said that there was extensive US diplomacy. He said the deal was brokered in a way that allowed the pause to continue. He said that is the goal. He said that it's just a start, but things are going well. William Denslow in New York, reporting for DD India.
A crowd of cheering Israelis welcomed children and women who had been held hostage for 49 days by Hamas terrorists as they were transported by helicopters to a hospital on Friday. Some holding Israeli flags applauded as the choppers landed at Schneider Children's Medical Center in the central city of Israel, bringing some of the 13 freed Israeli hostages. The Israeli military said that the first group of hostages had undergone initial medical checks in Israel and would be returned to their families once they are medically cleared. The Israeli military said that the released hostages were first medically examined inside Israeli territory before being taken to the hospitals to be reunited with their families on Friday. Further, according to the hospital officials, the 13 Israeli hostages freed by Hamas are being treated at 2 hospitals in Israel, where they have been reunited with their families. The officials also said that 5 of the women arrived at the hospital and were taken to a special complex with families. The CEO of Schneider Children's Medical Center of Israel said that some of the hostages released are in good physical condition.
To be the one to receive 4 children, 3 mothers and a grandmother, to the best and most caring hands here at Schneider Children's Medical Center of Israel. Their physical condition is good, and they're currently undergoing medical and emotional assessment by the medical and psychological team here at Schneider's.
The Israeli military released a video of what it says is aid entering Gaza via the Rafah crossing on the first day of the war's truce. The UN Humanitarian Office said that 137 trucks of goods had been offloaded in Gaza, the biggest convoy received since October 7th. US President Joe Biden earlier said that there was a real chance of extending the truce and that the pause in fighting was a critical opportunity to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. Let's turn focus to the Korean Peninsula now. The foreign ministers of South Korea, Japan and China will meet for the first time since the start of the pandemic. The main agenda is to organize a leaders' summit. Let's take a look at DD India correspondent Andrew Wood's report from Hong Kong.
Well, back in 2008, the leaders of South Korea, Japan and China agreed to have a yearly summit between the 3 of them to talk about international and regional issues. And they were quite successful at keeping to that timetable until COVID came along. So the meeting of these 3 foreign ministers is the first time there's been a high-level meeting between the 3 countries. And of course, top of the agenda is trying to pave the way for the 2 presidents and the Prime Minister to meet soon, because an awful lot has happened in the past 4 years. Obviously, there was COVID, but also there's been the war in Ukraine that started. And South Korea and Japan are pretty much siding with the West and America on helping Ukraine or supporting Ukraine. China has not condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but it does seem to be an awful lot friendlier with Russia than it was even a year or 2, despite the invasion. There's also the issue of North Korea. This affects all 3 of the countries. South Korea and Japan have moved closer to the United States in defending themselves against both China and North Korea, and the militaries of America, South Korea and Japan in the next week or 2 are due to start sharing real-time information on any missile launches that the North Koreans might be attempting to make, and just general military information as well. Now, North Korea is a problem for China too. In theory, North Korea and China are friends, but to be honest, I think that people in Beijing are probably embarrassed or even rather worried about what North Korea might do next. They really don't want to see North Korea collapse. That would really upset the balance, certainly in the short term, of the diplomatic and military balance in the region. Don't forget, America has tens of thousands of troops stationed in South Korea. If North Korea did collapse, or if it wanted to unify with South Korea, then that would potentially mean there could be American troops on the border of the old North Korean border with China. So there's lots to talk about here. In Hong Kong, I'm Andrew Wood, reporting for DD India.
Somalia became the 8th member of the East African Community on November 24th. Its admission to the EAC group marks a significant milestone in the region's geopolitical landscape. After years of negotiations and deliberations, the heads of state at the 23rd summit approved Mogadishu's entry into the bloc. This move is expected to revive Somalia's economy, which has been devastated by the war. This decision comes over a year after Democratic Republic of Congo, the EAC's most recent member, was welcomed. Somalia's inclusion expands the bloc's market and provides a new coastline of over 3,000 kilometers, holding potential for offshore resources like oil and gas. With this new inclusion, the EAC's expansion plans to encompass the entire Horn of Africa, potentially welcoming Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and possibly Sudan gain momentum. DD India's Chris Okamringa reports on this.
Presidents of the East African Community admitted Somalia into the trade bloc after holding a closed-door session. Somalia's President Hassan Mohamud expressed his gratitude for his country's admission into the trade bloc. The Horn of Africa nation has joined the East African Community at a time when insecurity by militia groups has posed serious challenges to the government. Leaders of the trade bloc hope to help Somalia deal with its security problems. The summit also discussed the security situation in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Security chiefs from all the member states have been instructed to meet with their counterparts from the Southern African Development Community to assess the conflict in eastern DRC. Fighting has flared up between Congolese forces and the M23 rebels over the past 3 weeks. The UN says more than 200,000 people have been forced to flee their homes. The Congolese government has asked the UN peacekeeping force to leave their country for failing to stop the armed conflict that has claimed the lives of thousands of civilians. The withdrawal of the UN troops is supposed to happen in a gradual manner. It's still not clear when the troops will start leaving the DRC. Chris Ochamringa in Arusha, reporting for DD India.
The top diplomats of United States, South Korea and Japan held a call on Friday to discuss North Korea's recent launch of a spy satellite. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, South Korea Foreign Minister Park Jin and Japan Foreign Minister Kimikawa Yoko strongly condemned the November 21st launch for its destabilizing effect on the region. This week's satellite launch was North Korea's third attempt this year after 2 failures and followed Kim's rare trip to Russia in September, during which President Putin vowed to help Pyongyang build satellites. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un inspected photos taken by the country's new spy satellites of major target regions, including the South Korean capital of Seoul and cities that host U.S. military bases. State-run television KRT reported on Saturday that Kim examined the photographs as well as imagery taken of some areas within North Korea during a visit to the Control Center of National Aerospace Technology Administration in Pyongyang on Friday. The photos were taken as the satellite passed over the peninsula over Friday morning and included images of Seoul, Mokpo, Gunsan, Pyeongtaek and Osan, where U.S. and South Korean military bases are located. North Korea said on Tuesday that it had placed its first spy satellite in orbit, drawing international condemnation for violating U.S. resolutions. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said that the launch was an exercise of the right to self-defense. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour, Argentina President-elect Javier Milei speaks to IMF director on plans to adjust country's fiscal policy and monetary program. Italy's Mount Etna captures world attention again with fresh eruption. Also, we tell you ahead about Tokyo's new landmark, a 330-meter-high skyscraper which opened on Friday.
We We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to more international updates. More than 1,000 people gathered in Amsterdam in support of groups facing discrimination in the Netherlands after Geert Wilders won Wednesday's election. In Amsterdam's central Dam Square, people lit candles or held up cell phone lights in a mostly silent protest 2 days after the general election. Wilders' Freedom Party won 37 seats out of 150, well ahead of 25 for a joint Greek ticket and 24 for the Conservative People's Party for Freedom and Democracy of outgoing Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Wilders' election win led to protests in several cities. In Amsterdam, demonstrators expressed shock and anger at the election results. Argentina President-elect Javier Milei spoke with the director of the International Monetary Fund regarding plans to adjust the country's fiscal policy and monetary program. IMF Director Kristalina Georgieva later said that they discussed about the significant challenges ahead for Argentina's economy and the decisive policy actions needed. The country is currently facing inflation nearing 150%, a looming recession and net reserves seen at negative $10 billion in fact. Argentina is tied up by a $44 billion loan program from the IMF that has veered off track. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has made an essential commitment to finalize the 2024 budget by the end of this year, following a disturbing court decision that derailed the country's spending plans. His government was forced to freeze new spending after the court declared its plans unconstitutional. In a video message reassuring citizens and investors, Scholz promised to revise the budget, lift the debt brake and secure aid planned for this year. The country's traditionally strict fiscal policy is being called into question, sparking calls for reform as it looks for ways to support industry without increasing taxes. The Chancellor is expected to give a statement to the Parliament on the issue next week. Finland's Prime Minister Petteri Orpo said on Friday that an unusually high inflow of migrants to the Nordic country from Russia must stop, adding that it was a matter of national security. He was addressing a press conference in Helsinki along with his Latvian counterpart, Erika Selina. Finland has temporarily closed all but one of its 8 passenger crossings to Russia in response to an unusually high inflow of migrants for which the country accuses Moscow. China will exempt citizens of France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain and Malaysia from needing visas to visit China for business, tourism, visiting relatives and friends or transiting for up to 15 days. This move aims to boost post-pandemic tourism. From 1st December to November 30th next year, citizens of those countries entering China will not need a visa. China has been taking steps in recent months, including restoring international flight routes to revive its tourism sector following 3 years of strict COVID measures that largely shut the borders to the outside world. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with his French counterpart Catherine Colonna in Beijing. Wang said that the two sides should continue to plan and coordinate the 3 dialogue mechanisms: the China-France strategy, economic and financial relations, and people-to-people exchanges. Colonna said that France has always insisted on cooperating with China on the basis of mutual trust, supporting open cooperation. The two foreign ministers met with reporters at a joint press conference after their meeting. On Friday, the Irish police Gardaí determined in fact, detained 34 people in the aftermath of stabbing of 3 children in Dublin. The incident that occurred on Thursday had left 2 adults and 3 children seriously injured, along with many others, sparking riots in the Irish capital. The unrest that started after the incident continued on the second day too, as rioters continued to damage public properties and clashed with the police. Police warned of further violence, blaming far-right agitators for stoking the riots. The European Union's top human rights envoy met on Friday with Cuban officials as the island's government faces criticism from the European bloc, the United States, and rights groups for jailing protesters during anti-government demonstrations in July of 2021. European Union representative Eamon Gilmore said that such topics as economic, social, cultural, civil and political rights were on the table with top Cuban officials after 2 days of meetings with island governments and civil society. Cuba's government blames the U.S. government for stoking the protests in a bid to overthrow Cuba's government and says those detained are guilty of assault, vandalism and sedition, among other crimes. Zimbabwe's government has initiated strict measures, including the limitation of public gatherings and food vending, in response to a significant spike in the cholera cases. The country has also intensified surveillance of burials in all areas affected by the outbreak. New cholera cases in the southern African country trebled from 437 to 1,259 this week, the biggest jump since the latest outbreak of the waterborne disease started in February. Now, this has triggered panic in Zimbabwe, where more than 4,000 people died from the disease in 2008. The authorities last week declared a state of emergency in the capital Harare, which has the highest number of new infections. Brazil has signed onto an agreement to triple renewable energy globally by 2030 and shift away from using coal, according to the country's foreign ministry. Brazil is now one of the roughly 100 countries that have signed the agreement titled Global Renewables and Energy Efficiency Targets Pledge. Official sources inform that the aim is to get the deal officially adopted by leaders attending the United Nations COP28 climate negotiations that begin next week in Dubai. Being a major player in renewable energy, more than 80% of the country's electricity comes from renewable sources, led by hydropower, with solar and wind energy expanding rapidly. The deal also includes a pledge to double the global annual rate of improving energy efficiency to 4% per year until 2030. The impact of climate change on the Austrian ski industry has led to innovative solutions in the Tyrol province. Ski resorts are storing snow from the previous winter under wood chippings to combat the unpredictability of the winter season. Around 10,000 cubic meters of snow is preserved in this manner, allowing for a reliable start to the cross-country skiing season in mid-November, even as the effects of climate change on natural snow cover became more pronounced. Mount Etna, the towering volcano on the east coast of Sicily in Italy, has once again captured the attention of the world with its eruption. The eruption sent a plume of ash and lava into the sky, visible from various parts of the Mediterranean island. Despite the potential hazards, operations at Catania Airport, located near the base of the volcano, have not been disrupted. In addition to Mount Etna, Europe is on alert for another potential volcanic event. This has led to the evacuation of thousands of residents as a precautionary measure. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Shoppers flocked the stores across the globe on Friday, looking for discounted electronics, clothing and household goods in the kickoff to the holiday shopping season, crucial to big retailers. Though this Black Friday seemed subdued as compared to previous years, enthusiasts continued on their shopping spree as usual. A new exhibit celebrating the life and career of singer Billy Joel officially opened in New York on Friday. This is the first ever major display of the singer's career, showcasing his journey through memorabilia, video and audio recordings, awards and instruments donated by Joel and avid collectors. K-pop superstars BTS released their trailer for their docu-series BTS Monuments Beyond the Star last week. The singers will be launching an 8-part docu-series exclusively on Disney Plus from December 20th that takes the audience on an in-depth journey across the group's 10-year career. 74-year-old British rocker Ozzy Osbourne became one of the 13 winners at the first Rolling Stone UK Awards hosted at the Camden Roundhouse. His wife Sharon Osbourne received the award on his behalf as he was unable to attend the event in person. Thousands gathered in central Madrid to watch the switching on of Christmas lights in the Spanish capital. Madrid's mayor, José Luis Martínez Almeida, kicked off the Christmas season by lighting up the big tree of Sol Square. The 5th session of the Chocolate and Sweet Salon is underway in Tunisia. The annual event is an opportunity to shed light on creativity and development of professionals and craftsmen in the sector. Japan's tallest building, a 330-meter-high skyscraper, opens in Tokyo's Minato ward. Part of the Azabudai Hills complex, the tower has 64 floors for shops, offices and residences. It also boasts of a digital art museum along with other cultural facilities with capacity to shelter 3,600 people during disasters. We're heading for a short break, but on the other side of the break, on DD India News Hour, we'll get to how India is at low risk from both avian flu and influenza, says India's Union Health Ministry, while keeping a close watch on the outbreak of H9N2 cases and respiratory illnesses in China. The 54th International Film Festival of India continues to attract film buffs and professionals from all over the world. Stay with us as we get you highlights of Day 5 at FE. Army contingent of India and Nepal gear up for the 17th edition of joint military exercise Surya Kiran between the two countries.
This 4-day cessation of action that has been announced might hold for a longer time.
We don't want a ceasefire. We want to eliminate Hamas. If we do a ceasefire, Hamas will not be eliminated. If we do a ceasefire, the hostages, the rest of the hostages will not be released. On Lashkar Taiba or any other organization that is harming our friends, is doing something wrong, financing, whatever it is, we would go against it, regardless if it's in the list or not. Because one should do that, because we should unite. As Prime Minister Modi ji said, we have to, terrorism is global, we have to unite against terrorism.
This 4-day cessation of action that has been announced might hold for a longer time.
We don't want a ceasefire. We want to eliminate Hamas. If we do a ceasefire, Hamas will not be eliminated. If we do a ceasefire, the hostages, the rest of the hostages will not be released. On Lashkar Taiba or any other organization that is harming our friends, is doing something wrong, financing, whatever it is, we would go against it, regardless if it's in the list or not. Because one should do that, because we should unite. As Prime Minister Modi ji said, we have to, terrorism is global, we have to unite against terrorism.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. A quick relook at the top stories once again. Benjamin Netanyahu vows that Israel is committed towards return of all the hostages. Massive rescue operation in last phase to evacuate 41 trapped tunnel workers in India's Uttarakhand. Voting underway in Western Indian state of Rajasthan for 199 out of 200 assembly constituencies of the state. In sports, Anish Bhanwala creates history, wins India's first ever medal in men's 25 meters rapid fire pistol in ISSF World Cup final. After more than a week's endeavour to reach the 41 workers trapped in a collapsed tunnel in India's northern district of Uttarkashi, the rescue and relief operation has entered its final stage. Just a few meters of drilling is left to reach the workers. A wide enough pipe has been laid to safely roll out the workers on stretchers. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked to Uttarakhand Chief Minister and sought information about the ongoing rescue operation. More than a dozen doctors, including psychiatrists, are deployed at the site, talking to the men and monitoring their health. Dibendu Mondal joins us from Uttarkashi. Dibendu, good morning. Get us the latest when we talk of the rescue operation.
Well, good morning, Preeti. From here at the Silkyara, the latest that we have for all our viewers is that the auger drilling, which was happening for the last couple of days, have been stopped since last night again. And what we hear from the officials here is that the auger drilling machine's blade has broken down once again, and it has got stuck into the girder inside the tunnel that you can see behind me. So the auger drilling has been stopped for now, and the authorities are looking at other options, which includes the vertical drilling of the tunnel that you can see behind me. So from today morning, the vertical drilling machines have started to come in here, and it will be once again a fresh start to the rescue operation, because the previous operation has hit multiple roadblocks, and we were just short of 5 meters, in fact about 7.5 to 8 meters from reaching the 41 trapped workers inside since the 12th of November. But since that has, as of now, has come to a halt, and we could perhaps say has failed, a new drilling method is now being deployed to bring them out. How long will this vertical drilling take is something that we have to wait and watch for. Let me also tell our viewers how the vertical drilling will happen. If you can see behind me the tunnel and the hill on top of the tunnel, the machine will be moving up for about 450 meters. The drilling machines are here. The vertical drilling machines are here. They are moving up to the hill from here, which is about 450 meters. This road was recently constructed by the Border Road Organization, and the vertical drilling will begin probably by today afternoon. How long will the vertical drilling take to reach to the workers is something, of course, we'll have to wait for official confirmation from the authorities. But as of now, it looks like it will be a in fact, a longer wait for the workers to come out of the tunnel where they have been trapped for the last 14 days now. Back to you, Preeti.
Yes, indeed, Dibendu, this is really disheartening to know that the operation has hit many roadblocks, and an alternative method will now be used to reach out to the trapped workers. Get us more details on the current status, the current health of the trapped workers.
Well, the trapped workers are being provided with food, medicines, clothes, etc. from the 6 inches diameter pipeline that has been put in place about 5 days back. They are also being provided with cooked foods. The authorities say that the workers are doing well. They are being given psychosocial counseling by counselors who have been placed here, paramedics and medical authorities. In fact, doctors are constantly monitoring their health and talking to the trapped workers inside the tunnel. So what the authorities tells us is that the workers are doing fine, but of course one can understand that if someone is trapped inside a tunnel for 14 days now and counting, the mental and the physical health will of course hit some setback for these 41 workers who were hoping that probably by today they could be coming out. But as I said, the wait could now become longer, because let me also tell you, the auger drilling, which were supposed to happen for about 50 meters, will of course has hit a roadblock, but the vertical drilling is about 150 meters. So we can understand from this that how long it could perhaps take from now on to reach to the workers once again. So perhaps it is a longer wait now, is what we can tell you from the ground.
All right, Dibyendu, it is there is in fact mental agony not only for the trapped workers but also for the officials who are involved in the mission Zindagi rescue operation. But get us more. Did you talk to the officials? Just as a roundup to our viewers, get us more on the roadblocks that were faced by the officials engaged in the operation, because we've told our viewers repeatedly that a very little distance was left for the authorities to reach to the trapped workers. Say 7 meters distance was left. So let us get more on the mission Zindagi rescue operation.
Well, the operation in itself is a very challenging operation. The geology of the place, the topography and geology of this place is very different, and it is of course a hill, in fact a mountainous region where different kind of rocks are placed. So drilling through different rocks requires different machineries. So all these machineries, to mobilize them from the plains, which includes the Rishikesh area, or from the national capital of Delhi, took some time, because these are heavy machines which needs to climb up the hill, and of course it takes a longer time. But auger drilling was taken as the best bet, because it had to just traverse a distance of about 50 meters through the debris to reach to the workers. But the auger is itself a very huge machine which has encountered roadblocks, because it can only cut through rocks and it cannot cut through iron girders. So in the making of a tunnel, a lot of iron and steel girders are of course used to make a tunnel. So when a part of the tunnel collapsed, so girders, of course iron girders and rods and steel were also a part of the debris. So when the auger was drilling into the debris, it of course hit roadblocks, and manual cutting of the iron and steel had to take place by workers who had to manually crawl and use gas cutters to cut these iron girders and rods. So of course this was time consuming, time taking, given the situation in which the debris and the debris was in fact inside the tunnel. So these were some of the roadblocks, but then the authorities had thought of alternate methods. As I said, one was the vertical drilling, which is currently being deployed. There are other methods, which is known as the drift drilling from the sideways, is also being simultaneously carried out. But of course, these are very time-taking methods, in fact, to bring them out. But of course, when the auger failed, the authorities thought that vertical drilling perhaps was in fact the best method that could be deployed, and in fact the faster method that could be deployed to bring these workers out. So in an operation like this, it's very challenging, given that, as I said, from the topography, the geology of the area, the authorities also have to be very careful when they are drilling, because they do not want another disaster to happen, which could happen in the form of another collapse. So these are some of the many challenges and precautions that the authorities have been facing here and taking into consideration when working to bring them out from the tunnel.
All right, Dibyendu, we leave it here. Let's hope the best for the trapped workers and the officials who are engaged in the operation. We leave it here. Thank you for joining in. And from here, we turn focus to Rajasthan. Voting is underway in the Indian state of Rajasthan for the assembly elections for 199 seats out of the 200 assembly constituencies of the state. Now, according to Election Commission, around 9.77% of the voter turnout was recorded till 9:30 a.m. 51,890 polling stations have been set up for more than 5 crore 26 lakh voters in the state. About 2,75,000 polling personnel have been deployed to ensure smooth polling in the state. India-Bangladesh Foreign Office consultations were held in New Delhi on Friday. The Indian side appreciated Bangladesh's participation in the recently held virtual G20 summit and the Voice of Global South Summit 2.0. Both sides had comprehensive discussions on the wide range of issues covering border and security, trade, commerce and connectivity, cooperation in water, power and energy sectors, people-to-people ties and also development cooperation in Bangladesh. Both sides also exchanged views on sub-regional, regional and multilateral issues. FOC is an institutional dialogue mechanism between the two foreign secretaries to review the entire gamut of bilateral relationship. The 54th International Film Festival of India, one of Asia's most prestigious film festivals, continued its enchantment on the fifth day as well on Friday. The festival has attracted film enthusiasts and professionals from all over the world. DD India's Shyama Mishra reports from Goa.
The winners of the 48-hour filmmaking challenge of 75 Creative Minds of Tomorrow initiative at the International Film Festival of India were announced. Team Grey emerged as the best in filmmaking challenge. 75 CMOT participants were divided into 5 teams who made short films on the topic Mission Life in 48 Hours.
All come together in this 48 hours. I think that's also and I feel something to learn. I mean, how to collaborate with each other and just to make a film in 48 hours.
All 5 teams, people they never met, people they did from all over India. Some of them don't even speak the same languages, but they're all in a team. And that was really the greatest, most exciting part.
We've done it, and I thank the entire team for it. Everyone's worked very hard. Everyone believed in the script. Everyone believed in the story because it has a genuine heart to it. And I think if we can portray such stories later in the future where more people can see it, I think that's the way to go.
During the film festival, the CMOT participants also attended workshops and masterclass sessions curated by the masters of world cinema. The day witnessed screening of mid-fest film as the 54th IFFI touched its halfway mark. About Dry Crosses, a captivating Turkish cinematic masterpiece directed by Nuri, was screened as the mid-fest film. The film, known for its enthralling storyline and exceptional performances, has garnered international acclaim, with its latest accolade being the Best Actress Award at the Cannes Film Festival 2023. Acclaimed actor Manoj Vajpayee also made his presence felt at the film festival. His 2 projects, Gulmohar and Sirf Ek Banda Kafi Hai, are screened.
Your film is being screened here at IFFI. You were here at IFFI last year as well. How do you see this platform and your film being screened here? How big is that?
Any kind of a festival where films are coming from all over the world and, the great creative minds representing their own industry, coming here with their films, with their, art. So it becomes a festival. It's actually a mela, the film mela. And this is more than, you showing the film, your film achieving something. It's always great to mingle and exchange.
Premiere of several highly anticipated films from across the globe, a wide range of films including world cinema, documentaries and regional films was screened throughout the day. The cast and crew of Film Sana, including director Sudhanshu Saria, actor Radhika Madan, Pooja Bhatt and Nikhil Khurana, addressed the press today. Day 5 of the 54th International Film Festival of India continued to showcase the best of world cinema while providing an avenue for industry professionals and film enthusiasts to interact and share their passion for the films.
With galaxy of activities happening at the 54th edition of International Film Festival of India, Day 5 comes to an end. We now have 75 fresh young minds who will now be putting Indian story in front of the entire world. With this, we also have several other screenings in different sections and a diverse selection of movies. Shyama Mishra, DD India, Goa.
And I will take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. India's Union Health Ministry has said that it is closely monitoring the reported outbreak of H9N2 cases and clusters of respiratory illness in children in northern China. In a statement, the Health Ministry said that there is low risk to India from both the avian influenza cases reported from China. It added that India is prepared for any kind of exigency that may emerge from the current situation. Indian Union Health Ministry informed that the production of 4 generic cost-effective medicines has begun in the country to bring down the cost and provide relief to patients with rare diseases. Now, these drugs are available in the market for treatment of 4 types of rare diseases, which are tyrosinemia type 1, Gaucher's disease, Wilson's disease, and Grevet-Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. In its 63rd Council meeting, International Sugar Organization, headquartered in London, has announced India to be the chair of the organization for 2024. India has been the largest consumer and second largest producer of sugar in the world, with about 15% share in global sugar consumption and about 20% production of sugar. Indian sugar trends affect the global markets profusely. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra reaches India's Hapur district. Apart from Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani, certificates were also distributed to the beneficiaries of various schemes in the village. The aim of Sankalp Yatra is to ensure that benefits of the government schemes reach the last person in the village. The campaign was inaugurated by Prime Minister on November 15th. The Nepal Army contingent, comprising of 334 personnel, arrived in India on Friday to participate in the 17th edition of joint military exercise Surya Kiran between India and Nepal. The opening ceremony was held in India's Uttarakhand. The exercise aims to enhance interoperability in counter-terrorism operations, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations while sharing best practices. It is an annual event and conducted alternatively in the two countries. We're heading for a short break, but on the other side of the break, Indian top-seeded shuttlers Satvik and Chirag to face Chinese duo of He Jiting and Ren Xiangyu in semi-finals of China Masters Super 750 tournament. And Serbia's Novak Djokovic will take on Italy's Yannick Sinner in Davis Cup semi-final. And Oscar Pistorius to be released from jail on parole in January, a decade after the former Paralympic champion shot his supermodel girlfriend dead, shocking the world.
This 4-day cessation of action that has been announced might hold for a longer time.
We don't want a ceasefire. We want to eliminate Hamas. If we do a ceasefire, Hamas will not be eliminated. If we do a ceasefire, the hostages, the rest of the hostages will not be released. From Lashkar Taiba or any other organization that is harming our friends, is doing something wrong, financing, whatever it is, we would go against it, regardless if it's in the list or not. Because one should do that, because we should unite. As Prime Minister Modi ji said, we have to, terrorism is global, we have to unite against terrorism.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now to get you sports updates. Young pistol shooter Anish Bhanwala won India's first ever medal in 25 meters rapid fire pistol event in the ISSF World Cup final on Friday. The 21-year-old shot 27 in the final to win the bronze in the prestigious competition in Doha. The medal in the season-ending competition capped a momentous year for the 21-year-old, who won a first ever senior individual ISSF World Cup stage medal and a first Senior Asian Championships medal and a Paris Olympic quota place. The top-seeded pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty stormed into the semi-final of the China Masters Super 750 tournament in straight game victory on Friday. The Indian duo will face Chinese pair of He Jiting and Ren Xiangyu in the semi-finals of men's doubles on Saturday. Ace Indian queuist Pankaj Advani completed his 5th grand double with a dominating 5-0 win over compatriot Saurav Kothari in the final of the IBSF World Billiards Championship in Doha on Friday. The victory extended Advani's world title tally to a staggering 27. The 38-year-old, who had defeated Kothari recently in the longer format of the 1,000-point won earlier editions in 2005, 2008, 2014 and 2018. This is in addition to the snooker doubles he won in 2015. In tennis, Serbia will take on Italy in the Davis Cup semi-final on Saturday. Djokovic and Sinner will be the centre of the attention in this tie. This will be their third duel this month. The two faced off twice at last week's ATP finals. The Italian got the upper hand in the group stage, but the Serb had the last laugh as he defeated his younger rival in the final to win the title. Jailed South African Paralympic star Oscar Pistorius was granted parole on Friday with the condition to continue his anger management therapy. Pistorius spent more than 10 years in jail for murdering his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp, claiming he mistook her for an intruder. He will be released on January 5th. He was initially sentenced to 5 years jail term in 2014, which was later doubled by the Supreme Court to 13 years and 5 months, claiming the earlier term was shockingly lenient. South Africa has withdrawn the bid to host the Women's World Cup in 2027, the Football Association said on Friday. South Africa was among the 4 bids confirmed by FIFA, but the country will instead focus on submitting a bid for the 2031 tournament. The remaining 3 candidates are a joint bid from Belgium, Germany and the Netherlands, one from Brazil and another joint bid by Mexico and the United States. The FIFA Congress will decide the hosts on May 17, 2024. Cristiano Ronaldo netted 2 goals as he led Al Nassr to a 3-0 win over Al Okhdoud in the Saudi Pro League on Friday. The Portuguese goalscorer also had an early chance that went just wide of the right post. Midfielder Sami Al-Najei was first on board for Al Nassr, scoring from close range in the 13th minute. Al Nassr sit second on 34 points, one off leaders Al Hilal, who have a game in hand. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.